right.
Yeah, so this is Baker's Chapel. Is it United Methodist Church, Mr.
Yeah.
Scott?
Mm-hmm.
United Methodist Church here, and it's adjacent to Baker's Chapel. This is Baker's Chapel, but there's a Baker's Chapel cemetery right next to this where I believe my great-great-great-grandfather is possibly interred here in the cemetery. I'm trying to actually connect with some of my family, the family members of Mr. Lauderdale, to determine what the relationship was between him and my great-grandfather, George Lauderdale, who was listed on the 1870 U.S. Census. He was listed directly after John Gamble Lauderdale, so I'm figuring they had to be related in some kind of way. What I'm trying to find out whether that was his actual dad or whether what that was. So I'm figuring somebody, hopefully in the Lauderdale line, may know that. But that's what I'm making a note of. But I just enjoyed the service here Sunday morning. Again, you can see all the original wood craftsmanship. This is an old-time, old-fashioned Southern church, which is, again, it's part of my heritage, come from my family coming from this area. And I come from a line of heritage of ministers, and I'm currently on my ministry, if you will, in the Philippines. But I like to thank Mr. Scott here for helping me and giving me the tour. He showed me a nice historic book going back from the mid-1800s that actually showed all the genealogies of the families who were part of this church community here in Hernando, Mississippi. So anyway, this is certainly the beginning of Geechee Line journey, and it may very well be that my ancestors also have the South Carolina roots as they do on my mother's side. It may be that that both my mother's and father's side may have roots in South Carolina, i.e. Geechee. Thank you a lot. This is Geechee Line Journey. Like, share, and subscribe here at Baker's Chapel Church, United Methodist Church in Hernando, Mississippi. Let me see. So what were you saying? You said
my knowledge, I've been told that after the Civil War, a lot of the freed slaves took the land, the former master's last name. I don't know of any black Lauderdales that live here, but I do know of some black Bridgeforth, and Bridgeforth are some of the prominent people on up around Pleasant Hill.
Yeah.
That's according to my mother and her genealogy research. She said, it was just about almost when they would say, "What's your last name?" and they would just use whatever names they were familiar with.
Right.
And that's the way. In my mother's research in our family tree, she said we was a bunch of poor folks. We didn't have any slaves. So I don't know of any named Scott anyway.
Right.
Although there might be some.
But I do have I got relatives named Bridgeforth though.
Okay.
I do have relative cousins that are named Bridgeforth. But
well, see, the Bridgeforths and the Lauderdales and the Andersons here all.
Yeah, I also have
married.
I have cousins who are Anderson as well.
The gentleman that sat back there behind us, the bigger guy, when he started to come to church here in 1968 or 9, somewhere along in there, he moved here out of Memphis. And my mother told him that she was glad to see him, that made us not be the only family here that wasn't related to some of the rest of them.
Yeah, that was something in those days, so you didn't have to try to marry your cousin.
This morning, there was first cousin sitting here, and the lady that they said wasn't here that had fallen this week. One of the other women over here, they're not first cousins, but they're relatives.
Yeah.
Because they still live here, and everybody knows who's what.
Yeah, what my question was is, I know that during the Civil War, a lot of the black people, they just took the names of wherever plantation they might have come from. But in this case, with that census, they actually started listing them officially. I think
that's right.
1870 really would have been the first official since
like
they would have been listed.
Before that, they would have just been listed as John or George or Paul.
Yeah. So my question is, I believe that George and John came here together from Alabama.
Well, like I said, my mother told me that most of the Lauderdales here came from Lauderdale County, Alabama. Which is the northwesternmost county in Alabama, north of the Tennessee River, next to the Tennessee line.
Yeah.
It borders Mississippi, but the Tennessee River is in between the Mississippi and Alabama there.
Right. So by him being listed on the census, so my question was, did he own the house or was he just a resident there? Either way, he had a house.
Somewhere, yeah. And in the cemetery, we have a tremendous amount of unmarked graves.
Oh.
About 7 or 8 years ago, a group of us took it on ourselves, and we put strings out and divided it up, mainly for the part that was addition, so we could know where to put a grave and kind of keep them in order.
Yeah.
And this man at the local funeral home told us, he gave us a probe and said, push this down and you'll feel, if it's been dug in, it's really hard. If it hadn't been, if it's been dug in, it'll
go right down.
And we probed every plot in that whole cemetery back there, even where there's markers, where there's a grave. Some of them just have a little concrete block. There's no name or nothing on them. And we marked any of them that we found or thought to be. Sometimes we would feel like a casket, it would stop. You could hear thump, thump, thump. So I'd just be a guess, but I would say there's probably 100 to 150 graves out there that don't have markers on them. There's of no kind.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's in back in the days that you're talking about, the black cemeteries and white cemeteries were usually at the same place, one side or the other.
Yeah, it wouldn't be mixed in, no.
Where my grandfather is buried over in Tate County, and the cemetery here and the cemetery right there, they're not the same, but they're right side by side. I don't know what the other one is called.
Yeah.
My grandfather's great-grandfather is buried over there. He was born in the 1700s. He was the first one that came here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. When I go over there, I'm the 6th generation standing on the hillside. My son's the 7th, my grandson's the 8th. And pretty much everybody in that cemetery is my relative.
Yeah.
There's one other family of folks in there that we're not directly related to. We probably related at some point in time. But,
Yeah, so that was always just my question. I think on the census, it doesn't really, you can't really tell whether they owned where they live, but obviously it was the second house, because as a matter of fact, I think they numbered, the agents would number the houses in order that they went to.
Yeah.
So say John Gamble's house might have been number 1 and George's would have been number 2. That means that's the next house.
Yeah,
why was it?
Would have been right there together too.
Right. Why was it the next house? Was it the next house because that was his actual son, or what?
Yeah. I don't know. I just know that.
I'm gonna ask, like I said, if there's somebody, like I said, I'm gonna call the person that you gave me.
Yeah,
Maybe they might know.
Charlie come near knowing. Sam and them might know, but Charlie has an interest in it.
Yeah. So by how old a man is Charlie?
74.
Okay. He's relatively young.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna say relatively young. Yeah.
Yeah. He's a retired school teacher.
Yeah.
And Sam is, well, let's see, I'm 70. Sam's about 73.
Okay, about
Yeah,
in
we're
there
all,
the
we're
same.
all up there right on the
Right.
borderline of getting and she wasn't here this morning. One time we was talking about getting old. She said, well, turning 30 didn't bother me, turning 40 didn't bother me, turning 50 didn't bother me. But I'm going to be 60 my next birthday. I'm beginning to wonder when I'm going to get old.
Yeah.
Well, she's 86 now.
Yeah.
I'm scared to ask her. I'm afraid she'll tell me.
Yeah. I understand.
Oh. For years, that picture was painted in New York City.
New York City.
Yep, sure was.
Remember that commercial?
And if you look on the wall under that TV, you can kind of see it hung back there for years and years and years until they wanted to put a screen
Oh,
TV
sure,
up.
yeah.
And
but this one was there.
that was painted in New York by an artist. It's signed on the bottom what artist it was.
Mm-hmm.
And one year, well, when we had a 150th year anniversary, my wife got a couple here whose son lived in Colorado, designed and made that tapestry.
Tapestry, yep.
And
yeah, that's a nice looking tapestry there.
And actually, the boy that designed that and made it, sister, he never has been here to church because, like I say, he lived in Colorado. But his sister attends here. His sister's a member here.
Yeah. Well, this is very nice. Like I said, I'm so glad I was able to come back here. Like I say, I'm now living overseas, but every year, as long as I'm on the earth, on this plane, I plan on coming back down here at least once a year.
This church wasn't built originally with these stained glass windows. We did that before when we was going to brick it. We put that built you can tell the old wall stopped where that drop down is.
Okay.
And when we added that part, we put the stained glass windows in.
Oh, sure. Yeah, this is very nice. So what do they just have one service here?
We have one service on Sunday morning.
Any other day, any other time?
No.
Wow, that seems like a shame that this building is not getting more use.
Back in the early 90s, we had we had 100 people every day, but like my three kids, only one of them still here.
Yeah.
There's a whole family that had 4 children that attended with their families. And they've all moved.
Yeah, people have moved on, and you haven't added on much, I guess.
We still got the same old family roots that's here, but a lot of the young ones have moved.
Right.
Well, the lady that lives in this house up here, she had 4 daughters. Well, one of them's in Houston, one of them's in the military, and was in Guam. One's in Alaska, that married a man in Alaska, so she won't ever be back here. They're kind of gone by the. We're all over the United States.
I understand. Yeah, well, that's what all families.
On Easter and stuff like that, we'll feel they all kind of try to come back,
Right. Yeah, they have a family gathering here right up there in Hernando. They call it Dark Corner.
Yeah, I know Dark
right
Corner.
by Carlton, so.
Dark Corner's just the south end of Carlton.
Yeah, that's where my people right there.
I got several friends that live over there. David Miller and William Austin lives down in there.
Yeah, William Austin, that's my cousin.
You know William?
Uh-huh,
You tell
sure
William he talked
did.
to me. He knows me well.
Sure, I know William Austin. I love this mama. His mama's name.
I just know William.
Yeah. Mother was named Biola. Biola Austin was my cousin. All right.
Got his cell phone number.
Oh, yep. I saw him. I think when I was down here last, I visited him.
His health's not doing too good.
Yeah, he was. Ain't he the one that go to the fruit and veggie market?
Yeah, no, that's Furlock.
Oh, that's Fardlock. Okay.
His name is Alton Williford.
Yeah, Alton Williford. Yeah.
You got to know Furlock to know his name is Alton Williford.
Yeah. No. I know his name is that. Yeah, because that's my cousin. I did the research.
Yeah.
So this is the outside of Baker's Chapel Methodist Church. I'm gonna come out here. Actually, here's a sign, and then we got here's the historic marker down here. Yeah, I'm gonna go down here. But anyway, this is my family generally from this area, and I found out some history today that I was not aware of. I'm gonna go to this marker. Baker's Chapel Methodist Church. Look at that. It used to be called California Methodist. I never knew that. But that's great. So anyway, it's Geechee Line Journey, getting some more history down here in Hernando, Mississippi at Baker's Chapel.